in the flashy high-octane world of WWE, were used to jaw-dropping moves, electrifying performances, and seemingly unbeatable superstars. But behind the bright lights and the aura of unshakable strength, there are also moments of vulnerability, times when even the toughest warriors couldn't hold back their tears. Today, Wrestling Sphere takes you on a journey through the raw, emotional moments when WWE wrestlers truly broke down, whether from loss, heartbreak, or simply the overwhelming rush of emotion in a world where strength is everything. Eddie Guerrero, a legend who fell just as his light began to shine. Eddie Guerrero's sudden passing wasn't just a heartbreaking loss for WWE, it was a seismic shock that reverberated across the entire wrestling world. His life unfolded like a Hollywood movie, dramatic, painful, then gloriously redemptive, only to end in a tragedy no one could have foreseen. Eddie, known to fans as Latino Heat, was one of WWE's most gifted and charismatic performers. But behind the curtain, Eddie wrestled with demons that threatened to consume him. He struggled with addiction, losing himself and the dream he had spent his entire life chasing. His release from WWE wasn't the end, it was a turning point. Eddie fought his way back, not just physically, but with unyielding determination and heart. He got clean, rebuilt his life from the ground up, and made a triumphant return to WWE in 2002, this time as a warrior who refused to be broken. His crowning moment came in 2004, when he defeated Brock Lesnar to become WWE Champion. It was more than just a victory, it was a powerful symbol of redemption, a moment that inspired countless others to believe that second chances are possible. But fate can be cruel. In November 2005, Eddie was found dead in a hotel room at the age of 38. The WWE Universe was devastated. The following episode of Raw was one of the most emotional nights in WWE history. The arena fell silent as Eddie's image appeared on the screen. Rey Mysterio wept openly, Chavo Guerrero broke down, and Chris Benoit, his closest friend, collapsed in grief. That night, even the toughest warriors cried like children mourning the loss of a brother. Nearly 2 decades have passed, yet the memory of Eddie Guerrero still burns brightly in the hearts of fans. He was more than a wrestler, he was a symbol of resilience, a man who fought through darkness to reach the light. Eddie Guerrero remains an eternal icon, forever etched in the soul of professional wrestling. The Undertaker, a legend's farewell in moments of silence. When it comes to supernatural figures in WWE, it would be a major omission not to mention The Undertaker. For nearly 3 decades, the dead man wasn't just a symbol of darkness and mystique, he stood tall as one of WWE's most enduring icons. His legendary streak of 21 straight victories at WrestleMania was far more than a personal record, it became a cornerstone of the event's mythology. That's why, heading into WrestleMania 30 to face Brock Lesnar, hardly anyone believed the streak would end that night. In truth, the build-up to this match lacked major highlights. Much of the spotlight, both from the media and fans, was centered around Daniel Bryan's underdog journey during that WrestleMania. Many saw Undertaker versus Lesnar as just another chapter in a familiar tale, one where the dead man would once again prevail. But what unfolded left everyone stunned into silence. From the opening minutes, Undertaker looked weary, lacking his usual sharpness. Few realized he had suffered a serious concussion early in the match, throwing off its pace and fluidity. And then came the third F5. As the referee's hand hit the mat for the third count, the entire Mercedes-Benz Superdome fell into a deafening hush. No cheers. No boos. Just stunned silence that lingered for nearly 2 minutes. The camera panned across frozen faces, mouths agape, heads bowed in disbelief. The 21-0 streak had come to an end. If WrestleMania 30 was an emotional earthquake, then WrestleMania 33 was a heartbreaking farewell. In 2017, Roman Reigns defeated The Undertaker in the main event, and what followed became one of the most unforgettable moments in WWE history. Under dimmed lights, The Undertaker quietly removed his gloves, his long coat, and his iconic hat, then placed them in the center of the ring. No words were needed, it was a silent ritual, a goodbye. The entire Camping World Stadium erupted in chants of, "Thank you, Taker," echoing through the night like a wave of raw emotion. It wasn't the usual roar of excitement that accompanied his entrances, it was a chorus of gratitude and mourning from tens of thousands of fans. As The Undertaker slowly backed into the shadows, disappearing behind a cloud of smoke, that image became etched as one of the saddest moments in modern WWE history. It wasn't just the fans or The Undertaker himself who were overwhelmed. Roman Reigns later admitted he could feel the gravity of the moment weighing on him. In a post-match interview, Reigns confessed that he struggled to keep his emotions in check as he watched a legend quietly step away after a lifetime of sacrifice and performance. Although The Undertaker would go on to make a few more appearances, including his cinematic Boneyard match against AJ Styles at WrestleMania 36, which marked his official retirement, it was WrestleMania 30 and 33 that fans still remember as his true farewell. No roaring music. No fireworks. Just silence and tears for a living legend who had completed the greatest journey in WWE history. Connor, the Crusher, the little heart that moved the entire WWE Universe. Among all the touching stories tied to WWE, few have left a deeper mark than that of Connor Mahalik, better known as Connor the Crusher. This brave young boy from Pittsburgh became a symbol of courage and unshakable passion, even as he faced the devastating effects of a rare form of brain and spinal cancer. From an early age, Connor was a devoted WWE fan. Of all the superstars, Bryan was his greatest hero. As Connor's health declined, his one wish was to meet Bryan in person. Thanks to a powerful social media campaign, WWE learned about Connor's dream and acted swiftly to make it come true. But what unfolded went far beyond a simple meet and greet. It became a genuine bond between two kindred spirits, built on mutual love and respect. Knowing Connor's time was limited, WWE created an unforgettable moment for him just before the final episode of Raw leading into WrestleMania 30. As Connor walked out with Bryan by his side, the entire locker room erupted in applause, cheering on the little warrior. Connor even stepped into the ring, landed a playful punch on Triple H, and pinned him, bringing the entire arena to its feet in joyful tears. Doctors had once said Connor wouldn't live long enough to see WrestleMania, but he defied the odds, sitting proudly in the front row as Bryan defeated Batista and Randy Orton to win the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. Only weeks after that historic night, Connor passed away at the age of 8. His death cast a shadow over WWE, leaving superstars and fans alike heartbroken. Bryan, Triple H, and Stephanie McMahon, those closest to him, were visibly emotional, unable to hold back their tears. To honor Connor's incredible spirit, WWE awarded him the very first Warrior Award at the 2015 Hall of Fame ceremony, with Bryan presenting the tribute. A small heart, yet one that left a monumental legacy in WWE history. Ric Flair, a tearful farewell at WrestleMania 24. WrestleMania 24 wasn't just another grand spectacle, it was the emotional send-off of one of the greatest legends in WWE history, Ric Flair. With 16 world championships under his belt, the Nature Boy had long been a living symbol of professional wrestling, leaving his mark across multiple generations. But by 2008, age had caught up with him. That's when Vince McMahon delivered a clear ultimatum. The next time Flair lost a match, his WWE career would officially come to an end. That pivotal match came at WrestleMania 24, where Flair faced off against Shawn Michaels, a close friend, a devoted admirer, and a formidable opponent. It was more than just a match. It was an emotional farewell. The entire arena fell into a hushed reverence with every strike, every movement Flair made. Everyone knew they were witnessing what could be the final chapter of a storied legacy. As the match reached its climax, Michaels, his eyes full of sorrow, whispered words that would echo through wrestling history. "I'm sorry. I love you." With that, he delivered a final sweet chin music, bringing both the match and Flair's in-ring WWE career to a dramatic close. Flair lay in the center of the ring as thousands of fans rose in applause, many with tears streaming down their faces. He wasn't alone. Emotion washed over the entire arena. If WrestleMania 24 was the heartfelt goodbye, then the following night on Raw became the ultimate tribute. WWE held a special retirement ceremony, gathering legendary names from the past and present to honor Flair's incredible journey. Standing in the ring, Ric was overwhelmed with emotion, surrounded by chants and cheers, while backstage, Shawn Michaels struggled to hold back tears of his own. In a later interview, Michaels revealed, "I grew up idolizing Ric Flair. When I said I loved him, it was the most genuine thank you I could give." It was a beautiful farewell, filled with sadness, but entirely worthy of the icon known as Ric Flair. Bray Wyatt, the sudden loss of a disrupted genius. Among the most heartbreaking losses in modern WWE history, no departure left a void quite like that of Bray Wyatt. From his early days as the eerie leader of the Wyatt family to his chilling transformation into The Fiend, Bray stood out as a creative visionary whose imagination and performance style were truly unmatched. He wasn't just a wrestler, he was a natural-born storyteller, someone who could make fans believe in the unbelievable, even in an era where the supernatural had largely faded from the wrestling world. Despite often being dealt an unfair hand, losing titles without reason, being written off TV with no explanation, or having his momentum cut short, Bray Wyatt remained a beloved figure. Every time he stepped into the spotlight, it felt like an event. And when he made his long-awaited return at Extreme Rules 2022, fans erupted with excitement. The haunting visuals, the glowing door, and the mysterious figure known as Uncle Howdy signaled a bold new chapter. Everyone believed a renewed, even greater Bray Wyatt was about to lead WWE into a darker, more imaginative realm once again. But fate had other plans. In August 2023, at just 36 years old, Bray passed away suddenly due to heart complications stemming from a prior COVID-19 infection. The entire WWE Universe was in shock. Fans struggled to accept the news. Fellow wrestlers mourned deeply. That week's episode of Smackdown became a tribute show, beginning with a solemn 10-bell salute. Braun Strowman and Eric Rowan, his former brothers in the Wyatt family, stood silently at the entrance ramp, eyes heavy with grief, as if a piece of their past had just been torn away. Not long after, at a live event, Seth Rollins paused in the center of the ring and asked the crowd to raise their phone lights. The entire arena lit up like a galaxy of stars, a breathtaking farewell to the man who brought shadows to life. Bray Wyatt wasn't just an unusual character. He was the embodiment of art within wrestling. And to many, his passing remains a wound that has yet to heal. Roman Reigns and the biggest battle of his life. Roman Reigns, who had claimed a thunderous victory at WrestleMania 33, faced the greatest challenge of his life just a year later. But this time, the fight didn't happen inside the ring. It was a life-or-death battle in the real world. Before rising to his current status as the respected tribal chief, Roman had been a polarizing figure, partly due to his in-ring style, but also because of WWE's heavy-handed push to make him the company's top star. He was often met with boos and resistance from the crowd every time he appeared. But all of that changed on one fateful night, October 22, 2018, on an episode of Raw. Reigns walked down the ramp with his usual calm demeanor, yet his eyes held a deep, quiet sorrow. Then came a revelation that shook the WWE Universe to its core. Roman revealed that he had been battling leukemia since 2007. Though he had once beaten it, the illness had returned. With quiet strength, he placed the Universal Championship belt in the center of the ring, symbolizing a temporary goodbye to the business he loved. He was stepping away, not to quit, but to focus on the most important fight of all, staying alive. The arena fell completely silent. Gone were the boos, the divided reactions. All that remained was heartfelt silence and an overwhelming sense of respect. Then came an unforgettable moment. Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose walked out to stand beside him, not just as teammates, but as brothers. Rollins broke down in tears, while Ambrose quietly placed a hand on Roman's shoulder. No words were spoken, yet the emotion was undeniable. In that moment, Roman Reigns wasn't just a wrestler, he became a symbol of resilience, courage, and unbreakable spirit. Shawn Michaels, a quiet exit in glory at WrestleMania 26. After a decades-long career filled with legendary matches, Shawn Michaels, aptly known as Mr. WrestleMania, eventually reached the moment when he had to say goodbye to the ring. WrestleMania 25 saw him fall to The Undertaker in a valiant attempt to end the dead man's iconic undefeated streak. But rather than accept defeat, Michaels became consumed by the desire to conquer the one opponent he could never overcome. The Undertaker became his final mission, the last challenge of an already storied career. At WrestleMania 26, the two icons clashed once more in a rematch the entire world eagerly awaited. This time, Michaels raised the stakes. If he lost, his WWE career would be over. The match was intense and emotionally charged, with every move Michaels delivered echoing his refusal to quit. He fought with everything he had, but in the end, it wasn't enough to topple The Undertaker's power and poise. One final tombstone piledriver sealed Michaels' fate, bringing his remarkable journey to a dramatic close. As the bell rang, The Undertaker didn't leave right away. Instead, he knelt beside Michaels, helped him to his feet, and embraced him, a gesture of profound respect between two warriors who had given it all. With eyes welling up, Shawn Michaels bowed to the audience one last time before walking up the ramp, disappearing behind the curtain to the sound of endless applause. The following night on Raw, Michaels delivered an emotional farewell speech, thanking the fans and those who had stood by him throughout his career. That goodbye left an undeniable void, a silent ache in the hearts of WWE fans who knew they had just witnessed the final chapter of a true wrestling legend. Bryan, a glory cut short and a miraculous comeback. Nicknamed the man who defied fate, Bryan overcame every obstacle and silenced every doubter to etch his name into history at WrestleMania 30. That night, he captured the WWE World Heavyweight Championship in a moment that defined an era. The chants of "Yes" echoed throughout the arena like thunder, a powerful declaration that dreams could come true, even for those without a towering physique or backstage favoritism. But just as the spotlight began to shine its brightest, Bryan was hit with cruel reality. A severe neck injury forced him to relinquish the title, leaving fans stunned. He made a valiant return at WrestleMania 31, winning the Intercontinental Championship in another triumphant moment. However, fate hadn't finished with him. Lingering issues involving concussions and spinal trauma returned, and this time, it cost him not just a title, but his career. On February 8, 2016, the news broke that Bryan would officially retire on that night's episode of Raw. It felt like a punch to the gut for fans around the world. Standing in the ring, Bryan emotionally recounted his journey, from wrestling in tiny venues to headlining the grandest stage of them all. He spoke of his passion, sacrifice, and undying love for the sport that had defined his life since youth. Yet what truly set Bryan apart was his refusal to give in. Despite grim medical diagnoses, he tirelessly searched for a path back. And after 2 long years of silent struggle, he did the impossible. He returned to the ring, stronger and more determined than ever. Once again, the "Yes" chants roared through arenas, a defiant reminder that dreams never truly die. WWE Smackdown after September 11th, when the ring became a nation's source of healing. WWE has long been known for weaving real-life events into its storytelling to connect with fans, but the episode of Smackdown held just 2 days after the September 11th attacks stood apart as something far more profound. On September 11, 2001, the world watched in horror as terrorist attacks struck the Twin Towers and the Pentagon, claiming nearly 3,000 lives and leaving a deep, gaping wound in the heart of America. While the nation mourned, WWE made an unprecedented decision to move forward with Smackdown, making it the first large-scale public event following the tragedy. From the moment the show began, the atmosphere in the arena was heavy with emotion. As Lillian Garcia stood in the center and sang the national anthem, the crowd fell silent. There were no flashy lights, no booming music, no theatrics, just the American flag waving above and silent tears falling from both fans and WWE superstars alike. It was a moment where emotion eclipsed everything else: grief, sorrow, and a powerful sense of national unity. Vince McMahon then stepped into the ring, microphone in hand, and delivered a heartfelt address to the world. Surrounded by a solemn lineup of superstars, he stood firm, embodying the strength WWE wanted to project. Vince declared that freedom would not be halted by tragedy and that fear would not triumph. WWE, he promised, would go on. The decision to air Smackdown so soon after September 11th was hailed by some as a symbol of courage, though not without its critics. Still, one truth remains undeniable. WWE delivered a moment that transcended entertainment. That night, the wrestling ring became more than a battleground. It became a place of comfort, a symbol of resilience, and a source of strength for millions of broken hearts. Edge, farewell at the peak and a journey back from the darkness. On what seemed like a regular episode of Raw following WrestleMania 27, the entire WWE Universe was rocked by a single announcement. Edge, who had just successfully defended the World Heavyweight Championship against Alberto Del Rio, appeared not with celebration, but with a solemn expression, distant eyes, and a trembling voice. He wasn't there to bask in victory. He was there to say goodbye. Edge revealed that a neck injury he had suffered back in 2003 had worsened beyond repair. Doctors diagnosed him with cervical spinal stenosis, a serious condition that could lead to permanent paralysis or even death if he continued to compete. Left with no other option, Edge was forced to retire at the very height of his career, while still holding the championship. He surrendered the World Heavyweight title, closing a glorious chapter in his life with tears instead of cheers. That moment didn't just silence the arena, it left a void in the hearts of fans around the world. For the next 9 years, Edge lived the life of a retired wrestler, a legend whose dream had been ripped away by time and circumstance. But what made him truly remarkable was his refusal to give up. Quietly, he kept the fire alive, never letting go of the hope that seemed impossible. Then, at Royal Rumble 2020, the impossible became real. His entrance music hit, the lights flashed, and Edge stepped onto the stage to a thunderous ovation. Fans cried. Fellow wrestlers cried. And Edge himself couldn't hold back his tears. This wasn't just a return, it was a miracle born of determination, resilience, and an unshakable love for the ring. Jerry Lawler, when death knocked on live television. In WWE history, few moments have chilled audiences to the bone like the shocking incident in September 2012, when Jerry, the King Lawler, the legendary voice at the commentary table, suddenly collapsed during a live broadcast. That night, a tag team match featuring Team Hell No and the Primetime Players was unfolding as usual. But behind the commentary desk, a real-life nightmare was quietly taking shape. Michael Cole, Lawler's longtime broadcast partner, was calling the action with him when he suddenly heard what sounded like snoring coming from Jerry's direction. At first, Cole thought Lawler was joking around like he often did. But when he turned to look, he froze. Jerry had slumped forward, unresponsive, with no sign of movement. Cole instantly removed his headset and shouted for the medical team. Fans near ringside began to sense something was terribly wrong and started chanting, "Jerry! Jerry!" with growing concern. A wave of fear swept through the arena. Lawler was rushed backstage, where doctors began emergency treatment. Backstage reports later revealed that his heart had stopped for nearly 20 minutes, a terrifying detail that left many shaken. Fortunately, thanks to WWE's on-site medical team, Lawler's life was saved. Moments later, a visibly shaken Michael Cole returned to the broadcast and emotionally informed the audience of what had happened. He also respectfully stepped away from commentary for the rest of the show, honoring his fallen colleague. Months later, Lawler opened up about the ordeal, saying his heart condition had worsened following a match earlier that night where he and Randy Orton faced off against CM Punk and Dolph Ziggler. He believed Ziggler's series of forceful elbows to the chest directly triggered the cardiac arrest. "He hit me with 10 straight shots, and my heart stopped right after," Lawler stated plainly. While the incident was undeniably severe, it also highlighted the crucial role WWE's medical team plays in protecting its talent, a team that ultimately saved the life of a true legend. Owen Hart, a pain beyond words in the WWE ring. In WWE's long and storied history, few moments have silenced both fans and wrestlers alike the way the tragedy at Over the Edge 1999 did. It wasn't just a shock to those in attendance that night, it became a haunting memory that would linger for years to come. That evening, Owen Hart, performing as his comedic alter ego, the Blue Blazer, was scheduled to make a dramatic entrance from the rafters, descending into the ring with a harness system designed for flair and surprise. But fate dealt a cruel blow. The release mechanism malfunctioned, causing Owen to plummet nearly 80 feet, striking the ring ropes before crashing to the mat. The horrific fall claimed his life within 33 minutes. Owen Hart passed away at just 34 years old, leaving behind a stunned and grieving wrestling world. When the news reached the backstage area, the locker room fell into stunned silence. The atmosphere felt more like a funeral than a live event. Yet even in the face of such unimaginable grief, Vince McMahon made a controversial decision. The show would go on. To many, this choice came across as heartless. To WWE, it was seen as an act of unwavering professionalism, one that sparked years of debate. It wasn't until the following night that WWE properly honored Owen's memory. On a special episode of Raw titled Raw is Owen, the entire roster lined the stage, heads bowed in tribute to their fallen colleague. Emotions ran high. Tears were visible on the faces of many, from veterans like Mark Henry to Stephanie McMahon. Heartfelt speeches, emotional video packages, and tributes poured in, capturing not just Owen's wrestling legacy but also his warmth, kindness, and humor. That broadcast became one of the most somber and genuine moments WWE has ever aired. Owen Hart's death wasn't just a devastating loss for WWE. It was a bitter reminder of the razor-thin line between scripted entertainment and harsh reality inside the squared circle. Emotions are something you just can't hide, even if you're a WWE superstar. If you found this video meaningful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss any future content from Wrestling Sphere.